Welcome to the Beau Show, the home of faith, family, and freedom. In 2022, I had the unique opportunity to sing for the American Freedom Tour, and I devoted an episode of my show to that tour, which hosted a bevy of speakers from Dinesh D'Souza to Mike Pompeo to Donald Trump. The tour had 4 pillars, 3 of which I based my own show upon: faith, family, freedom, and finance. The 4th one is actually smart, because the tour had various financial experts that taught attendees about financial freedom. And in these uncertain inflationary times, it's good to have a sound financial foundation. But the first 3 are, of course, foundations this country was based upon: faith, family, and freedom. So when I was asked to sing for one of the tour stops, I thought about what I would want to sing. They had suggested America the Beautiful, and with that song being a secondary anthem for this country, with some very introspective lyrics, I felt it was a good choice. Just for a frame of reference, here was that performance.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
The American Freedom Tour then held its very first winter gala at Mar-a-Lago, the famous second home and now likely primary home of President Donald Trump. Now here's a little bit of history about Mar-a-Lago from its website. The Mar-a-Lago estate was opened officially in January of 1927, after 4 years of construction. Marjorie Merriweather Post, then Mrs. E.F. Hutton, searched for several years to find a proper location between the ocean and Lake Worth. The quest for a new home had begun when it became apparent that she was to be the Dowager Queen of Palm Beach. At the time, there was little else here but undergrowth and swampy grounds, seemingly of not much use for a building site. With her realtor, Post crawled through underbrush of jungle-type growth in search of the perfect piece of property. The consequence of that search is the main house, Mar-a-Lago, which is Spanish for sea to lake. This hurricane-resistant structure is anchored by concrete and steel to a coral reef, and the whole of the property comprises approximately 20 acres of perfectly landscaped lawns. Across the southwest lawn, a Chattahoochee stone path leads to a tunnel under South Ocean Boulevard, which opens onto the beach club. The site on which Mar-a-Lago sits is now considered the most valuable parcel of land anywhere in Florida. The main house is an adaptation of the Hispano-Moresque style, long popular among the villas of the Mediterranean. It is crescent-shaped, with an upper and lower cloister along the concave side of the building that faces Lake Worth. A 75-foot tower tops the structure, affording a magnificent view in all directions for miles. 3 boatloads of Dorian stone were brought from Genoa, Italy, for the construction of the exterior walls, arches, and some of the interior. The stone was chosen for its quality of aging rapidly and for its adaptability to intricate carving. Upon close examination, tiny seashells and fossils can be seen in this distinctive stone of the 114-room ocean-to-lake villa. One of the attractions of Mar-a-Lago is the predominant use of Old Spanish tiles throughout. Post acquired approximately 36,000 tiles that had been collected by the late Mrs. Horace Havermeyer in the 1800s. Among the earliest tiles, dating back to the 15th century, is the plus ultra tile, translated to beyond the ultimate, a Roman influence upon the Moors. The architecture, sculpture, planning, and craftsmanship that went into this magnificent estate could not be duplicated today. It was Post's plan to bring together many old world features of the Spanish, Venetian, and Portuguese styles. She worked closely with Marion Wyeth, a well-known architect, on the exact size, placement, and design of the floor plan. Joseph Urban, once the architect for the Emperor Franz Joseph and for the Khedive of Egypt, was called in from Vienna for the more elaborate details. Urban was then sent to Vienna for eminent sculptor Professor Franz Barwig and his son, who worked for nearly 3 years modeling and carving extraordinary sculptures. The models for the parrots, monkeys, and other motifs are still preserved on the premises. Practically all labor came from adjacent areas. The ironwork was cast and wrought in West Palm Beach, and the fine old cypress wood for doors, beams, and every other possible use was purchased locally. The only exceptions were the Dorian stone, the Spanish tiles, the approximately 20,000 Cuban roofing tiles, and 2,200 square feet of black and white marble from an old castle in Cuba, which was used for the dining room floor. In January 1969, the Department of the Interior designated the estate as the Mar-a-Lago National Historic Site. The property was placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1972 by an act of Congress. Until her death in 1973, Post used the estate as a haven for many notable dignitaries. After her death, the estate was willed to the federal government for use as a diplomatic presidential retreat. 10 years later, due to maintenance and security concerns, the government conferred title to the Post Foundation. And in 1985, Donald J. Trump purchased the property from the Post Foundation and used the estate as a private residence until 1995. In April of 95, Mar-a-Lago became established as the Mar-a-Lago Club. It is the last remaining Palm Beach estate still containing its buildings and land in almost identical form as its original conception. With the granting of easements to the National Trust for Historic Preservation, The Mar-a-Lago Club carries with it a built-in constituency that ensures its stewardship into the future. The Mar-a-Lago Club has a special quality of timelessness that transcends the transition into the new millennium. The splendor, style, and elegance of what may be the world's most beautiful and exclusive private club is truly ageless. The Trump organization has invested millions of dollars in restoring and upgrading this, quote, jewel of Palm Beach, ultimately creating the finest experience in world-class luxury, relaxation, dining, entertainment, and recreation, all in an unparalleled setting. Keep watching at epochtv.com/The Beau Show.